Hi, I'm Parker.
And I'm Tim.
And this is episode 6 of the Rage Podcast, where today we're going to talk about a balanced lifestyle.
You know, one of the things that we look at when balance is as how we keep all the various aspects of our life functioning the way that God designed them to. And one of the guys in the Bible who did a really good job about that is King Solomon. So we're going to start off today by going straight to Next Level with Parker so we can learn a little about King Solomon.
King Solomon referred to himself in the book of Ecclesiastes as Koheleth, which means teacher or preacher. He did this to show him not talking as a king, but as the teacher.
Well, thanks for that, Parker. And now to look at a little bit of what King Solomon had to say to us, we're looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 3.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 is how it starts. There is a time for everything and every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. So we open it up right there, and it's just speaking wisdom, truly. But I mean, that's the life. It's life.
Yeah.
You know, there is a time to be born and a time to die.
Yeah, it's some time for it to start, and there is a time for it to be over. And I think that's. I mean, he starts right off there with life, and sometimes we like the born part. I mean, that's always wonderful.
Yeah.
The die part we're not so thrilled with.
Yeah,
but you can't have one. We can't have one without the other. That's the
and
balance.
I feel like it's a great opener for the rest of this passage. Hopefully we can get a big chunk of read to you guys. But it starts with life, and then we hit all these other things that life is. You know. So then the next one it says a time to plant and a time to harvest, which in modern terms, you know, is that's our work, that's our labor, that's the aspect of life that we have to, you know, everyone has to work, everyone has to do something in life, and that's just the second part of that aspect of life.
Yeah, everything in life worth having is you got to put something into it, and you got to get something back from it. I mean, that's essentially what planting and harvesting is all about. And so if you're talking about a career, or talking about a job, or talking about even a relationship, which I know we're going to hit on here in a little bit, it's all about, you know, putting effort, putting energy, putting resources into it, and then receiving a benefit from it. And you know, a lot of times we may find a situation where we're doing nothing but pouring in and nothing comes back, or maybe we have a relationship where we expect everything to come back and we don't want to put anything into it, and that doesn't work. That throws things out of balance. So then, and if we find ourselves out of balance, we'll probably go to the next line, which is
a time to kill and a time to heal. So that one we picked up the idea of nourishment for our body, like, you know, for our life, in our life. There's a time that we do need to heal, and then there's a time we just need to stop. You know, you can't continue anymore, and that's, I mean, obviously kill can be taken in many ways, but I think that's where we go more or less in this verse when it says kill. It's not necessarily mean kill. It's being stop. You heal, and then if you can't keep doing something, you know, it goes back to work. You know, how Tim was saying, if you put so much into one thing and you don't get enough out, you got to stop that. Yeah. It's kind of like the start and finish of each and every single one of these when you get down to the basics of them. Yeah, and the idea of, you know, when everything we have in life that we're putting things into and expecting things to come back from, there may come a time when we need to, I guess, terminate might be the better word. Terminate, We have to cut this off because it's not working. Now, there may be other times that it isn't working. You know, the situation's not panning out, and we say, okay, we want to heal this and make it do that. Other times we're going to get to the point where that's not just going to happen. We got to be done. Yeah. And that's a hard decision to make, but it's a necessary one. The next one is, where are we at here? Okay, a time to tear down and a time to build up, which is like the teaching and the mentoring, you know, like, well, here's a perfect example, Tim, and I'm the intern, you know, I'm being taught. And Parker teaches me a lot, so yeah. But it's you know, we should take time in our life to, you know, teach your kids, you know, our students, you know, mentor them up. You know, there's a time to tear down and a time to build up, and I think that's a big part of it. You ever been around, and any of you who have been around teachers, or probably even you, Parker, have seen it in school, where you got somebody who's never been criticized, and then they get something where it's just a little bit critical, and they just melt. Those are people who have always been built up and never tore down. Never said, you know, we need to do this better. You need to try it again. You got to stop doing this. You know, if you're going to try to raise somebody up, and all you ever do is compliment them and say you're the greatest thing in the world, eventually they're going to believe you. They're going to hit one of those teardowns, and it's just going to completely. And somebody's not going to be super nice to them, and that's going to be a really tough moment. An equal balance of both is, you know, this passage. Balance,
Yeah, balance.
you know? So the next one is a time to cry and a time to laugh. So,
2020's given us a lot
yeah,
of one of those kind of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a balance of emotions. You see, there is a time to cry and there is a time to laugh. And you don't want to have a strong side of crying.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you're not, you know, it's life, you know?
On the other hand, if all you do is laugh all the time, you've got to ignore a whole lot of things that are going on.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of, some would say there wasn't a whole lot of laughter in 2020, but I mean, hopefully we were able to find a balance in there to, you know, find an equilibrium between both.
And as we're going through these things, you may look and say, you know, any one of these, say, well, I've done a lot of crying, or I've done a lot of dying, and I want to be born or whatever, and start something new. That's what resolutions are all about. I want to bring my life in this area back into balance. So in this particular thing, if your emotions are out of balance, you spend a lot of time crying, then you go look for something to laugh about.
Yeah.
And make resolutions to do that. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. And this next one's a big
one. Now, yes, especially, so we talked about
Yeah.
crying and laughing, but this one is a time to grieve and a time to dance. So, obviously in 2020 we had a lot of things taken away from us, a lot of fun activities that we were probably looking forward to. So, yes, we should grieve those things, but were we able to find any time to, you know, dance, celebrate, you know, enjoy the moments? Do you have an example, Tim, of one?
Something that I really enjoyed during this year is, I'll tell you, I enjoyed having Parker on staff here. Of course, I'm going to say that because you're here, but you know, we got to find the good things to celebrate, and certainly we have been celebrating that. You know, Alina is going to be on staff here shortly, and we're celebrating that. Of course, we're grieving that Diane is leaving.
Yes.
We grieve that Phil and Leah left. That's what let some of these things happen. But, you know, it's a balance. We were able to balance. Yeah, we missed what we had, but we're looking forward to what we will have. And that's where the balance comes in.
I think this summarizes 2020 quite well.
Yeah.
We have had so much fun things planned that were just taken away. You know, family vacations were ruined. Sporting events were ruined. Graduation taken away. Homecoming gone. You know, we've had so much taken away. So it made it hard to find those times to celebrate. But still, you need to, I guess it's the tiny things that you need to fall back on. And
make sure you're not missing them along the way. Sure.
Yeah, yes. So next one is a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones. Tim, what do we got about that one?
Well, we're looking at investing. You know, and again, it goes back to when we were talking about a little earlier about how there's going to be a time when you're going to have to pour a little more. You're going to have to give a little more. I could think during the summer, I mean, the church had to give a little more when I went down sick and I was out for a couple weeks. Obviously, I wasn't able to pull my weight during that time, so I needed some people from the church, and they did very well, step up and help me out with some different things. You know, and then there's going to be other times when I'm here and you know, maybe you're not going to be feeling well, or you're going to need a few days out or whatever, and I'm going to have to pick up the you know, and take care of things. So I think in life it's about the ebb and flow, about, you know, there's going to be times you're going to have to give a little more, and there's a time when you're going to get a little more.
Yeah.
But you can't always be gathering, you can't always be scattering, because if you're always doing one or the other, you're not balancing, which is the word of the day.
So the next one is, if we can move on, a time to embrace and a time to turn away.
Yeah, this is relationships.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, a lot of relationships can get really... That's the word I'm looking for here, Parker. Intense.
Yeah, okay, intense is a good word.
Intense is a good word.
Okay.
And you're always in each other's face, always in each other's company, and you're always there, and everything's all exciting. But, you know, there's going to have to be a time when, you know, even in a marriage, you know, you both got to go do your own thing for a while, or you're going to have some time out to go, you know, have a day or something. Because if you're always together and always in each other's face and always that, those relationships burn
Which has
out.
been the opposite kind of this year.
Yes,
we faced the different of where our relationships with people have weakened because we don't see those faces. We don't have we're not allowed to you know, congregate and
even when we are together, we still only see this much of the face.
And it's been tough. It's been tough this year.
Sure has.
When
been a lot of turning away.
Breaking down this list, I truly see like what all 2020 has done, and you know, it's not always the good and bad, but it's trying to find that balance that it's given us. I mean, it's a great trial that I think we all can mark off that we went through. You know, we went through.
Try to get back to a balance after such a crazy time.
Okay, a time to search and a time to quit searching. So we have expectations down for that. Where are we gonna?
Yeah. Well, what do you expect to happen? So sometimes because we go into everything. Even coming into this podcast today, you and I had kind of an idea what we were gonna do, and I don't know, maybe we've gone a whole different way than what we talked about, which happens. And so there's a time when you gotta say, well, I was kind of expecting we were going to do this, and I want to kind of steer us back toward that. Other times I gotta say, well, this conversation is pretty good. We should allow that to go.
Yeah.
So we want to search out our way. Sometimes we need to let that go and say, God apparently had a different idea.
Now that I have started, giving lessons to the youth group and everything, that is the idea. I have to walk in every Wednesday night saying that my lesson might be thrown completely away, dependent on what questions get brought up, how they're interacting. It's
listen to Parker spouting the stuff I told him. That's good though.
Yeah.
And it is. And sometimes you got to let those things happen. Even Sunday mornings will get to be that way. There's going to be a time when we had a plan, and this is what we thought was going to happen, and sometimes it just doesn't go that way for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So we got to not be just so bonded so tightly to our expectations that we won't allow anything else to happen. Because that rigidness can really hurt us.
A time to keep and a time to throw away. Material possession is what we did with this one, and I now that I'm reading it in front of a camera, I've obviously got a different idea.
Yeah.
But this year I did a lot of, I guess, throwing away. We realized we were stuck in our house a lot.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, what do we need? What do we not need?
Yeah. Yeah. What are we gonna do with all the stuff we've been hoarding?
The coat closet got cleaned out. I know, and it's just we're like these are back to like the 80s. Why do we have these coats? So,
well, we just did a little bit of that here. We had a dumpster out in the parking lot, and we did some throwing away. And Parker came back and said, hey, do you care if I throw some stuff away? And I said, no. And he said, don't you want to know what it is? I said, no, I don't. Throw it away.
Yeah. So, throwing away can kind of get you a new start. It can I always like seeing it's a cleaner environment too. And it's not, I guess, just material possessions we could do for that one. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of things that we might be holding on to in our minds and our hearts that we just need to throw away.
Yeah.
It's not doing any good being there. It's not. It's that 80-year-old coat that's in your coat closet that no one uses.
Yeah.
And you need to learn, find the balance of when to throw that out.
Yep.
A time to tear and a time to mend. So this one, me and Tim actually had a little hard time trying to figure out one for this.
Get this in a category we struggled with.
So Tim, eventually we decided to say stewardship.
Stewardship.
How we
and we're all looking at one of the biggest resolutions there are out there is financial planning, and this year I'm going to pay down my debt and I'm going to do all this stuff. And part of that is about tearing and mending. There are some things that we need to purchase. We're going to need groceries, you need gas in your car, going to need a pair of shoes ever so often and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But other times then you might say, well, do I really need to replace this thing that's not completely worn out? I just want a new one. Mm-hmm. This car probably could go for a little longer. I mean, I drive a 20-year-old car, so there's that question's kind of a daily thing for me. So so the idea is when do I want something new? And when do I need something new? Because those are not the same thing. And that's what good stewardship is. When do you fix something old? When do you replace it with something new? Something we all need to give some thought to.
So this one here's got a lot of meaning, the next one. A time to be quiet and a time to speak. Which, no, it's not saying, you need to shut up. But
it might be, though.
Yeah.
It might be.
But think of it in more or less like your spiritual life, I guess, is where we kind of went with this one. Mm-hmm. It is a time to be quiet. Obviously, when you're dealing and talking to God, there is a time for you to be quiet and, be like, God, it's your will, let it be done. You just give it to Him. And then, of course, there's a time to speak up. There's a time, God, I'm frustrated. God, I'm stuck. I'm in need of something. There's a time to speak to God and be like, hey, I'm in need of help down here. I need some reassurance and some guidance. Yeah. And that's a balanced spiritual life, is if you can go to God and understand you might not like everything God's doing at the time, and that's your time to, be quiet. You have to accept, okay, God's doing this. I might not personally enjoy it, but eventually I know it's God's will. Mm-hmm. And then there's a time to speak and be like, something's not right here. When that's your time to go to God,
and help me know what to do about it. Sure. Mm-hmm.
So that one's got a lot of meaning. That one can, I mean, a strong relationship with God is, I hope, how we're all going to carry into 2021.
Yeah, and if you think about prayer is just like a conversation. A conversation is not where one person does all the talking, either side.
Yeah.
And that it's about the balance again. Yep.
So Next one is a time to love and a time to hate. So, this one, I'm reading it now, Tim, and I got more questions. A time to hate.
Yeah.
What does the word hate in this passage necessarily mean?
All right, so what we're looking at here is there are sometimes that, and it's interesting here that the word in verse 8 is not like.
Yeah.
The word is love. Like is a response, love is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't say that you have to like everything, because I can't make myself love this drab and dreary day outside of this window. You know, I can't make myself love cold weather, and I will never like snow ever. But I can choose to love it. I can choose to love being alive in this world. I can choose to love God's creation. At the same time, we're talking about hating things. There are certain things about this world that I will never accept. I'm never going to accept people being judged by their skin color. I'm never going to accept that.
Yeah.
I'm never going to accept anybody, looking down at a whole group of people. I'm never going to accept that. I'm never going to accept the fact that there are people that go to bed hungry. I'm never going to like that. I'm never going to accept that. We may understand that is part of what the world is, but that doesn't mean I have to accept it. And I will actively work against that in any way I can.
And how you just said accepting what the world is, I think we had a great one to finish up with that one.
Yes.
A time for war and a time for
follows
peace,
right
which
along,
follows perfectly with the kind of the love-hate. Our world is seen, are we in a time of war, are we in a time of peace? Where is the world currently?
Well, there's a time to draw a line and say, here's the line, and I would advise you not to mess with it. And there's a time to say, okay, we may have our disagreements, but I love you anyways, which we should always say that. But the idea is there's a time to say, this is wrong. I'm not going to tear you down as a person, but whatever this is you're advocating, I'm out. I'm not going to support this.
Yes.
And there are times that we as believers and we as people need to draw that line. I mean, if somebody comes into your life and threatens your family, there definitely better be a line drawn there, and we have to draw that. So, if somebody comes in and threatens our community, threaten our church, threaten values that we hold dear. I don't mean we have to punch them.
Yeah.
But we do need to draw a line and say, I'm not with this. I'm out.
So that's the big chunk of the poem. But I want to just get one more thing in. It's verse 11.
Yes.
Yet God has made everything beautiful in its own time. I want to look back on 2020 and if you have that set of mind. Mm-hmm. You'll truly think it's a different thing that we went through.
Definitely different way to look at it.
You look at it and be like, this was horrible, I never want to do this again. And I was like, well, yes, that's true, but we needed this, I feel like. Mm-hmm. I said this before, the church needed this. It pushed us to do something. It pushed the world into a different aspect of looking at it. Mm-hmm. So if you look at everything that's gone on in the eyes of saying, yet God has made everything beautiful in its own time.
That time may not be for 5 or 10 years down the road, but we may look back on this and realize what we learned and where this took us was a good place. Yeah. But the journey to get there wasn't so great.
I'll tell you, and that's the balanced relationships that we're supposed to have. It's 2020. If you walked through with this mindset, I think that's how we should carry ourselves in 2021. Because again, we don't know what 2021 has to offer. It can be
fingers crossed. Though.
Fingers crossed, it's something better. But to hit on, I was gonna say this. December 25th, Christmas Day in Nashville, the downtown was blown up. We're getting closer and closer to 2021. The name may change, but the world might not. Mm-hmm. And that's this hard truth that we're gonna have, hard pill to swallow. But
we as believers and we as Christ followers, we have a obligation to help the world make sense of these things. That's part of the reason for the Rage podcast.
Yeah, this episode is to, help make sense of what 2020 was and how to carry ourselves in 2021.
And how to maintain a balance when life is thrown off kilter pretty bad. And that's what we hope that you'll take this opportunity here at the end of the year to do is, make some New Year's resolutions to go forward. We talked about it on Sunday, making a Cleopas resolution to invest in a relationship and how important those things are, because the world's not going to do that for us. The world is going to blow up Nashville. That's what the world does. What we want to do is we want to be better than that and make sure that we're also celebrating the good things that are on this list as well, because the bad things will roll down the hill right to you. But you got to be able to balance them between what's good for you and what's necessary, I guess. Yeah. So we hope that's what you all take the opportunity to do.
So in closing, I say Happy New Year and find a balanced lifestyle for you in 2021 is my wish.
Happy New Year, guys, and yeah, balance 2021. I think that'd be good.